In this lesson, we're going to discuss avoiding social engineering threats. Now, in the complex landscape of cybersecurity, avoiding social engineering is a topic that demands our attention and understanding because it is so prevalent these days. Social engineering, in its most malicious form, is deception where a bad actor attempts to manipulate individuals into breaking their organization's normal security procedures by playing on human psychology. Often, social engineering attacks appear to be innocent, and this is likely the key that the attackers are going to use to trick your employees into breaking your organization's security, which is why awareness and vigilance are going to be used to create our first line of defense against these types of social engineering attacks. Now, to avoid becoming the victim of many social engineering attacks, you simply need to maintain your situational awareness. Now, situational awareness is a term used to describe a state of mindfulness about one's immediate surroundings, the actions you're asked to perform, and to understand that the action may have negative consequences if you do perform it. For example, shoulder surfing is one such attack that can be prevented by maintaining good situational awareness. Shoulder surfing involves the attacker attempting to peek over your shoulder to look at sensitive information on your screen. To counter this kind of an attack, you must always be aware of your surroundings, especially in public spaces, and use a privacy screen protector, as well as being cautious about reading any confidential information outside of your secured areas. Eavesdropping is another attack, and it's similar to shoulder surfing, but with eavesdropping, our attacker is attempting to listen in on our private conversations or our meetings in order to breach our security. To prevent this, you should only hold sensitive discussions in soundproofed or secure areas, and always be aware of any smart devices like smartphones, smartwatches, or other devices that may have been brought into the room, because these could be hacked to remotely record and listen to a given conversation. Now, if you're having a conversation with a colleague about work matters during lunch at a local coffee shop, you could easily fall victim to eavesdropping. So it's really important that you're always aware of where you're having your discussions about your confidential workplace information to prevent eavesdropping from being successful. Now, as you can see, shoulder surfing and eavesdropping usually require the attacker to get close to you to execute their attack. And one of the ways they may try to enter your secure office building is to use social engineering attacks like piggybacking or tailgating, where unauthorized individuals slip into secure premises undetected by closely following somebody who has legitimate access. To prevent this, your organization should use access control vestibules to limit entry into your buildings to one person at a time, and to ensure your employees maintain their situational awareness to ensure no one is trying to sneak through the door or security gate behind them as they enter that secured facility. Dumpster diving is yet another social engineering attack that you need to be aware of, and this is one where the attackers sift through garbage to look for any discarded information that might be pieced back together to form a bigger, more informative picture of your confidential data. Again, by having good situational awareness, your employees might be able to catch somebody going through the trash can or recycle bin who's trying to steal information that somebody else carelessly threw away. Now, amid all of these multifaceted threats, we also need to look at operational security. Operational security, also known as OPSEC, is one of those things that is a critical shield in your defensive posture, and OPSEC is really a term that was originally coined by the military, and it involves the protection of critical information that might indicate your activities to a potential adversary. When applied inside of a business context, operational security underscores the importance of safeguarding your sensitive data, whether it's your daily routines, your project details, or your internal procedures, from manipulative social engineers. Now, this could mean being more discreet about your work schedule or upcoming business deals, even when you're in casual conversations with your friends or family. Now, why? Well, social engineers are really good at piecing together seamless, innocuous details that are shared over social media, during phone calls, or even during personal interactions to construct a narrative that they can then use to exploit your organization. They could then pretend to be part of your work life, using information you've unknowingly divulged to gain your trust. So, operational security isn't just a protocol, but it's actually a mindset that you need to instill in all of your employees. Operational security at its core requires that you are consistently aware that any piece of information you have is really a part of a bigger puzzle that somebody can then use to craft an attack against your organization. Now, all of these types of social engineering attempts really do underscore the need for constant vigilance and situational awareness, because our actions might potentially be watched by an attacker. Beyond these human threats, though, we also need to worry about technological attacks that are used by social engineers, like removable media devices and cables that are used as part of a baiting attack. For example, let's imagine you just parked your car at the office and you're walking towards the front door. On the ground, you see a USB thumb drive sitting there. You're worried that it may have fallen out of one of your coworkers' pockets on their way to the office, so you simply pick it up and carry it over to your desk. When you get to your desk, you decide to plug in that thumb drive into your workstation to see if you can find the name of the owner by reading a few of the files that are stored on that drive. Well, by doing this, you may have just unknowingly infected your workstation or the entire organizational network with malware because that USB drive wasn't dropped by one of your coworkers. Instead, it was dropped by a social engineer, and they used it as part of a baiting technique to put that thumb drive in the parking lot outside of this office building in the hopes that somebody like you would pick it up and connect it to their own workstation because they were curious as to what was on that thumb drive. Now, to prevent this from occurring, you should never pick up any USB thumb drives that you find, and if you do pick it up, you should never, ever connect it to your computer because it could infect you with malware as soon as you plug it into the system. In recent years, people have become even smarter and they stopped falling for this USB thumb drive bait as often. So, social engineers ramped up their capability as well and moved on to using charging cables in public areas as their form of bait instead. These cables can include malware in their firmware that will infect your iPhone or Android phone once you connect your phone to that charger. This type of charging cable bait is particularly effective in public areas like airports, lounges, coffee shops, and other places that offer public charging. For this reason, I recommend that you always carry your own charging cable and charger with you wherever you go so you're not relying on an untrusted charging cable or charging unit when your battery gets too low. Next, let's take a look at some of the more subtle, more insidious tactics that are employed by social engineers that rely more on their ability to be a con artist in order to gain your trust and manipulate you in a given situation. For example, you may have received a phone call or an email from somebody claiming to be from your information technology support department, and they're requesting some sensitive information from you. This social engineer is attempting to create a sense of urgency or a sense of fear by insisting that you are facing immediate legal or financial repercussions if you don't do exactly what they tell you to do right now. This kind of pressure tactic is designed to make you act quickly and to bypass your organization's normal security protocols. These types of attacks are quite often effective because people are more likely to make mistakes when they're rushed into taking some form of action. Finally, it's important for us to avoid a social engineer's traps by being proactive and avoiding being reactive. To do this, you should foster a proactive culture of security in your organization by regularly training your employees on cybersecurity, regardless of their position inside of your company. It's really important that all of your organizational employees learn to recognize phishing attempts, understand the importance of data privacy, and know what constitutes safe online behavior. By creating an environment where employees feel responsible for safeguarding the data and they're encouraged to report suspicious activities, we can prevent social engineering attacks from being successful against our organization. To fully train your employees, it's also important that you include practical exercises, such as simulated phishing attacks, to test how individuals might respond to an attempted breach, and then remediate any employees who happen to fall for the simulated phishing attack so they don't get fooled again in the future. So remember, in our pursuit of robust cybersecurity, we must remember that technology alone isn't enough to keep us safe online because we also have to consider the significant weight that the human element has in our organization's security. Each person is going to be a gatekeeper to our organization's data, and they play a pivotal role in thwarting potential social engineering attempts. Our employees must remain ever vigilant, aware, and always maintain a good understanding of social engineering tactics to best protect our organization against these types of attacks.